here tonight to serve our citizens. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful day you blessed us with. We thank you further, Lord, for your guidance and direction, and pray that you'll lead us in the way we should go according to your will. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, council, with the agenda for tonight, the next item is new business number 4, and that's a review of the September 2nd agenda next week. And under number 6, consent agenda, there are quite a few items that you see there on the consent agenda. If there's any you wish removed, now would be a good time to let us know. Okay, hearing none, I need to add one more item to the consent agenda, and this will be an ordinance declaring road closure for a town special event, and that will be the Drone High School Homecoming Parade. That is to be held on October 7th from 5:30 p.m. till 7 p.m. And the road closure will include Main Street from Hull Street to Eldridge Street. If someone would make a motion to add that to the consent agenda, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, council. Okay. New business, 7A, public hearing, the text amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance presented by Daniel from COG.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So this item, as you said, is the public hearing, an opportunity to approve the proposed text amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance. As was discussed in August when the public hearing was set, this is really more of a housekeeping action in response to the downzoning statutes approved by the General Assembly in December of 2024. The current effective date of the UDO is July 1, 2025, and the proposed amendment would extend that effective date out to January 1, 2026. The reason being to essentially provide time for the General Assembly to address the downzoning statute and essentially reauthorize municipal downzoning authority before that new effective date of January 1st, 2026. Public notice requirements have been met. The Planning Board did render a favorable recommendation, and that recommendation will be to approve the ordinance amendment as presented and the consistency statement accompanying it.
Okay. Questions, council?
Dan, do I understand correctly that the only thing at issue here is that presently, until until it becomes effective in December, people can have an option of the ordinances, the zoning ordinances before the Unified Development Ordinance or after. It's their choice, is that right?
Correct. For new development, they would have a choice. They'd have to notify the town via a notarized document of which ordinance they wanted to follow prior to any review of the development. That is the case, and this would extend that window as well out to January 1 of 2026.
But it does not put any of the existing prior ordinances on the shelf. They still apply.
Correct.
Okay, anyone else? Item A will remain on the agenda. Item B, thank you, Daniel. Call for a public hearing on October 6, 2025, CDBG grant for Berrytown project. Mr. Wyckoff.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. So this is just to schedule the public hearing, so this is not the actual public hearing for October. And basically what this is if you recall, we got the Berrytown water line project. It's to replace some water lines and service lines out in the Berrytown area. There's several roads that are involved in this. And so this funding, originally through the NC Commerce grant for the CDBG project, we applied for $800,000. Due to some increased project costs, we got awarded an extra $200,000. If you recall that was a couple months ago. So we went through a public hearing for the original $800,000, Now they want us to go through the same process for the extra 200. So that's all we're doing here, just going through that process.
Okay. Questions, council?
What is the total cost of that project?
I don't know off the top of my head. It was around 2.4 million, I think. It's going to be 3 million by the time we're done.
$3 million.
But, yeah.
And how many feet or miles of water line is that?
We got about 8,200 feet of water lines. So,
Mile and a half.
yeah,
And how many miles, that's part of the triple community water system that
Correct.
the town acquired. How many miles of water line altogether are in that triple community system? You don't know that offhand?
I don't know.
But could you
we can
let us
find out.
know, and we maybe add that to the, or we pick that up on the agenda next week.
Sure.
And if, the purpose of this project is so that people along that mile and a half of road will have enough water pressure to wash clothes, and the fire hydrants will work in case there's a fire.
Correct.
Is that right?
The current lines out there are undersized for what they need.
And if we had not got the grant in the first, in fact, it was turned down the first time, as I recall. If we had not got it, will we have to do it anyway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd have to be in our CIP plan.
Yeah, and that's what, I think that's something that is not well understood by triple community water customers. Clearly, they pay a lot for their water, but the town has a tremendous liability in providing them with that water, not only good, clean, clear, potable water, but adequate pressure, and eventually we're gonna have to replace, we'll find out next week how many miles of lines, because they're all old. Just like that, to go on record so that people understand that it's not just a source of revenue for the town, it's a huge liability that the town has taken on.
Yeah, we'll find out how many miles we got out there.
Anybody else? Item B will stay on the agenda. Item C, capital project ordinance amendment, Valdese Bluff Sewer Project. Sir?
All right, so this one is just a response to the Bluffs contract that we approved at the last meeting, the $800,000 to do what we can with the ARP funding that we have. So all this is doing now is adjusting the project fund to match what we're going to be doing out there, because originally, remember, it was kind of up in the air what direction we were going. So this just amends the project budget for that contract and funding.
Questions, council? Okay. Item D, capital project ordinance amendment, public safety building and project. Sir?
Again, with the contract with DR Reynolds, at the last meeting, the $38,000, I got to make sure that we have the appropriate funding in the project budget to pay that. So that's what this is doing, is just recognizing the revenues, mainly from the sale of properties, what we're using, the revenues from that we've been putting into this fund. So just recognizing those, and then the expense side equaling out to that, so.
But I understand that's about $800,000, is that correct, that we're moving?
No. That's
No, 38,000.
38,000,
Yeah, the 800,000 is the Bluffs project,
okay.
yeah. So this
okay,
is the
Okay, yeah,
public safety project, yeah.
okay, good. Thank you.
Now, the current cash balance now is 817,000. So we've got cash in there, and this is where that will come from.
And if the Pineburg Avenue property sells, that'll add, if that sells, consummates, that'll add about $148,000, right? to
Mhm.
that,
Yep,
Pushing pretty close to $1 million.
correct.
On this, I'm sorry. On this DR Reynolds contract, how much is this phase one part of it costing altogether?
The contract was for 38,000.
$38,000 for the
Yes,
phase one.
correct.
And that included adding a fourth option?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we heard that if we added a fifth option, it would be another $12,000.
Correct. Yeah.
If we subtracted one or two options, we would subtract 12 or 24,000 maybe?
I don't think we talked about that one. Yeah, we only talked about adding the one for 12,000. We didn't talk
Right.
about
We
subtracting.
don't know the answer to that.
No.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay,
Do-
that'll stay on the agenda.
Do you want, okay, I was gonna suggest maybe we can put those on the consent agenda, if everybody's
Which
good with
ones?
that.
D and C,
Yeah, the two project amendments,
okay. Does that suit council?
C and D.
C and D move
Yeah.
to consent.
No. I'm okay with C, but I want to keep D on the new business agenda, please.
Okay, C will be moved to consent then. Okay. Item E, residential qualification for committee members.
Yeah, so this is on the agenda just in response to council's request to add qualification, residency qualification requirements to town-created committees and boards. We had talked about doing it by resolution. There was a recommendation just to do it by motion. So in this, I've prepared a proposed motion to accomplish that. If you guys have questions or want to tweak that, we certainly can.
Was that, was the motion that you're preparing, will it outline which committees and who can
Yes.
serve and who can't?
So the easiest way to do that, unless you have, let me start by saying this. The easiest way to do that is to say that it applies to all committees that are formed by the town council with the exception of those formed under ordinance, because that would require an ordinance amendment.
Okay.
And then we are going to exclude, obviously, from that, people who are either residents or own a business in the town of Valdese, and then we're also going to exclude town employees who serve in an ex officio capacity. And then, yeah, so you're pointing to maybe a couple other exceptions that council may desire, and if that's the case, then we can add additional exceptions as the need arises.
Okay, council, the exceptions that I've got recommended is the grandfathered status, as we just talked about, business owners. And the one that, y'all probably not heard this, is pastors of local churches. Because our pastors may pastor a church in town but live outside of town, and yet they serve on our committees.
What was the first one you mentioned?
Current members are grandfathered in.
Oh, okay. Well, we're only talking about newly appointed anyway, so that
Right.
wouldn't even apply, okay. Yeah,
That'll have to be outlined in the motion, though.
Attorney Swanson provided a motion which I think covers all that except the pastors, which sounds like reasonable factor to add to it.
Okay, anybody else? That'll remain on the agenda, please, Ming. Item F, resolution on the Valdese Town Council's expectations for responsible town staff regarding enforcement of zoning ordinance. And I think council, each of us received the recommended resolution, or is there any questions on those?
I had the first one, we're talking about F here.
Mhm.
Yeah. The draft that Manager Herms circulated, I thought was excellent. I just felt it should have one more section. It has 3 key points. I thought it needed a third point, which is some reference to monitoring. Because if somebody sees a violation, a code violation, what do they do about it? Or do we wait until something becomes extreme before it gets noticed and brought to the attention of the planning department or the code enforcement? So I just think there ought to be a section that deals with monitoring. One of the issues in Valdese is, and I made the comment to Mr. Herms that this is the only small town I've ever lived in, so I don't know if they're all like this or just Valdese, but people in Valdese are afraid to speak up. If they see something wrong, they feel they can't speak up about it, because if they do, they'll be ratted on, or they'll be retaliated against one way or another. And there's not a way for citizens to say, you know, there's a building on Main Street that is just horrible, and what can we do about that? So if there's some way to include in this resolution a process for monitoring, our public works employees are out over the town all the time, our police officers are out all over the town all the time. Why do we get something that's 40-some feet tall before anybody notices it and gets called to attention? We need a way to monitor that and feed that into the process somehow.
Okay, so you're saying monitored by who?
I don't want to define the who. I'm just suggesting there are citizens, employees, but monitoring. And I think we need a provision for monitoring potential violations and trying to nip them in the bud. That's my point.
Okay.
If it pleases the council, I will work on some language and email out to each one of y'all for your review.
Thank you. Anyone else? Item G, resolution on the Valdese Town Council's expectations for the respective town and county departments to ensure compliance with the North Carolina Building Code and all Valdese construction activities.
I want to apologize. When I sent out the email with these two resolutions, I sent the same resolution twice, and I didn't realize it until it was pointed out. I've resent out the G resolution this afternoon. Sorry about that.
You know, the timing wasn't a problem. The concern I have about that resolution is that it doesn't say anything. It says we appreciate the county having enforcing our building codes, but again, the problem there is, what if the county doesn't enforce the building codes? And that's, I could go down a whole list of violations, but I'll just give you one tiny example. On Bobo Avenue, at street level, there's broken window glass. I raised that concern about 4 months ago, and the reply I got was, well, that's not a zoning problem, that's not an enforcement problem for the town, that's a building code problem. And the last time I looked, the broken window's still there. It's dangerous, it invites, if it won't hurt somebody, it invites crime, invites break-in. So, you know, what do we do about things like that? We don't have a pipeline into the county. If the county inspections department or code enforcement department doesn't do their job, what do we do about it? Does the county manager get involved? Do they report to the county manager, or are they little fiefdoms that set their own rules and apply their own accountability? So that's, you know, I just didn't see any teeth in that, any way that citizens could feel good about that, I guess.
Anyone else? You have a recommendation, Mr. Harvey, for our manager? And I have a question, if I may. I don't, or maybe a statement, I don't know that we could, or the county could, I think it would be difficult for any agency to enforce all those building codes when it gets down to like a broken window. And I know that's just an example. There's others that far exceed a broken window. that make sense?
So if we just let broken windows go, we don't worry about little things like that. That's okay, if that was the worst problem.
Yeah,
But, we all know we're dealing with a bigger problem than that with the building inspections, so, we don't have any recourse. We're stuck with what the county inspections department does, as far as I know. So, I don't know, I might try drafting something before Monday's meeting. I'd prefer that it be the manager or the town attorney that could find some way to put some teeth into that resolution.
Yeah, so, I have not looked into this issue particularly because our town manager was working on it, and I didn't want to duplicate the workload. You may be able to modify and create some verbiage in your ordinance that your code enforcement officer could use to rectify things like broken windows on buildings. But as far as trying to create something that is going to force the county to take action, I don't think that we're gonna be able to draft anything in that regard. I mean, we have to work with the county, and certainly, that would be our prerogative, but I don't think we can draft something that would be enforceable to force the county to take action.
Probably not, but would it be possible to try to work out with the county a joint resolution on how we handle North Carolina building code enforcement?
Yeah, maybe we sit down with them initially. I mean, I think that's something we can work on. We can sit down as a group and just open the dialogue, have a conversation, and see where it needs to go from there.
I will also state that our code enforcement officer and the police department are looking at revamping some stuff to mirror more of the Hickory code enforcement rules. It really comes in handy that our attorney represents both of them, so he should know both of them, to help us streamline some of these. I won't say them small because they're very important to some people and it affects some people's life very much, but stuff like the broken windows and the smaller code enforcement issues that in the past we've had difficulty enforcing, we're looking for ways to speed up that process to enforce some of these code enforcement issues. We just haven't, it's gonna take a little while for us to get it all together and get it before council's review to vote on. So we are working on those though.
okay.
As far as a resolution between us and the county, only thing I would say is, we depend on the county for building inspections, and we cannot afford to do them by ourselves, so, we need to figure out a way to coexist and get proper building inspections and building codes, make sure the building codes are adhered.
It might be advisable, at least currently, to pull that item off the agenda and let us just kind of work through it a little bit more and bring something back to council.
Sounds good. Is that okay with council?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, take that one off, please, ma'am. Okay. Item H, update on the upset bid offer for 800 Palmer Avenue Southeast. That says council discussion. Okay, hearing no discussion, we'll move on. Okay. That is all on the current agenda, council.
Could I have one, since I agreed to pull one off, could I ask that we have one put back on? And I thought we had established that this would be a monthly, would happen every month, that we'd get a financial update with each regular council meeting, a year-to-date update on where we stand with relative to year-to-date results relative to the budget. Did I misunderstand that that was an expectation, It's just my expectation, but at any rate, is it possible to have that? Could we include that as, I'd like to see it as an item every regular council meeting. I think the council needs to be aware of where we stand with year-to-date results relative to the budget.
Right, so, good point. The reason why it's not on here, and we talked about it last month, is because this is a September meeting. The only data we would have is July, which is just the beginning of the year. So there wouldn't really be, we can put the reports in there, but they're really not going to tell much because it's the beginning of the year. So a lot of money goes out at that time of year to pay annual expenses and stuff. So the report you'll see isn't really telling the story. That it would kind of be misleading. So that's why we don't have it in here for this time period. Now next month, which would be, or the next meeting, which would be the October, then we'll have a little bit better data for August at that point. So that's why it's not in here.
Okay, so it will be on every regular monthly agenda starting in October. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. That satisfies me. Thank you.
The thinking was to try to get at least one quarter of the fiscal year before we start doing it, because it does skew the results. Like he said, there's a lot of things we pay out annually in the month of July, and so it will skew the numbers a little bit if you're not. And so at the end of the first quarter, or halfway, after we get a couple months, first quarter in, and then go forward from there. That way you'll get a better picture and you can understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, but that's the way it is. That's, that's the way finances go. Household budgets and businesses.
Council, I'm gonna go back to item H and ask that that be removed from the agenda, please.
Why would we remove it from the agenda?
There was no discussion when I called for it.
Well, this is a preliminary meeting. Do we not have any further information on this topic? I'm assuming that we don't have it this week, maybe we'll have some next week. I don't know. We have a bid offer for $149,000 for this property on Pine Bar Avenue. We had a hearing scheduled at the last meeting that we canceled, and citizens and council members, at least one council member, is wondering what's going on. Why can't we get this resolved? It seems like these things shouldn't go on forever. If we don't have an update today, let's have an update next Monday.
Councilman Harvey, these are ongoing contract discussions, and so for purposes of maintaining confidentiality in those discussions at the present, until that hearing takes place, those communications would take place in closed session. When we have an update on the contract that is subject to open session, then I think that would be an appropriate line item.
So do we know that we will not have an update at the next meeting?
Well, I can tell you that I have updates that I can't share in open session.
Okay, but let's leave it on the agenda, and then if we have nothing to share or act on next Monday, then it's deferred again, or it's not acted on.
All right. Okay, that's all on the September 2nd agenda. Going back to tonight's agenda, council will entertain a motion to go into closed session under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to consult with an attorney retained by the town in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the town attorney and the town council, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor, say.
So what are you saying? You need a motion to add a closed session to Monday's meeting?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and if you're going to remove anything, you need that as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, I'll first address the closed session, please, Mr. Harvey. I have a motion for a closed session for September 2nd. You'll have a second.
Second.
Okay, those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the next item is going back to item H. I need a motion to remove item H from the agenda.
I move, so move.
Okay?
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Okay. Council, anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
So be it. Thank you, council.
Yes. In case you're asking for a vote, yes.